recording now?
Let's try this again.
You good? Yes.
We're good.
Episode 19.
Episode 19.
Welcome back, pedestrians.
We're sponsored by the Green Room, and we'll have an official message from them later on in the podcast.
Because we're not going to jerk each other off in your face this time.
Stop stealing my joke.
Hey, we can... I stole that for myself, the Kanye joke.
The Kanye
joke. That's been in like every single episode. Anyway, we do
All right.
have a guest today. We're going to jump right into it because that's what we're going to do this time. His name is Sam Rothstein. He is the Columbus plug. He is the several other cities plug, in my opinion at least.
That sounds like a character from The Wire. I like that.
So, let's get Ross to make a comic for the Columbus plug.
Yeah,
He's got like a fucking...
I am now
suit.
the Columbus plug.
Yes.
Sounds like a supervillain name.
Instead of like the power S, you got like the fucking... You got like a like an outlet.
It's an outlet. I'm not going to smoke the cigarette, by the way, but I always hold a cigarette when I do podcasts. It's just a weird trying to quit smoking thing that I do. So
Fair enough. Okay.
You'll see me hit this, and you'll wonder why it's not lit. And it's because it's the easiest way for me to quit smoking cigarettes is to just have one in
It's
my
the
hand.
formality.
Yeah, you gotta have. It's like my hand is addicted to smoking more than my lungs are and shit like that. So.
I respect that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
I got you.
Yeah. Want to get right into it? Let's ask some questions.
Let's get right into it.
Okay.
Do some interview shit.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna ask the most overly worded question that I've ever written, and then I'm gonna shorten it afterward.
Okay.
So, Sam Rothstein, what all encompasses your professional and creative identity? Which means just, who the fuck are you?
Yeah. Man. Yeah, that's a hard question, actually. Like, fuck you for making question number one.
We got a harder one later, so have fun.
Man, I don't know. When I started, I was just a rapper, man, and I just wanted to write solid-ass rap music and tell the reality of what was going on in my life and around where I lived and the people I knew. And, the Sam Rothstein, Sam Rothstein isn't my real name. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think it is, but it's not. And it was chosen for a very specific reason. And it's based off a character in the movie Casino. Because when I started rapping, the, mobster names were coming back in rap. And so, back in the day, when Biggie was big, mobster names for rappers was a big thing.
Junior Mafia.
Calling yourself Frank Luciano or whatever it was. That was a thing, then it died out. But then it sort of slightly came back. And so I was like, damn, I could do that. I could have a mafia-esque name. But I knew I never wanted to rap about violent stuff because I just never did that. And so I was like, who's in mob movies? Who's a badass in mob movies? But never did any killing. And it was Sam Rothstein. It was that character. But he was also a complete total boss as well. He ran shit and he put people on and whatnot. So that's sort of where a lot of the aesthetics of mine came from and the aesthetics of my music came from and my beat selection and things like that. But as far as what all encompasses it, now, that's a hard question because now there's a lot more dimensions to it. I do a lot more than just rap. You know what I mean? I direct music videos, I do graphic design, I book people, I book tours, I fucking create events. I do a lot of different stuff that isn't, doesn't just fit into the mold of who I was as a rapper or whatever. So it's a trickier question to answer now, by the way. Also, I can't ignore this any longer. You have a map of fucking ancient Greece right there, and that is so sick to me. I'm sorry. As soon as I saw that, I just flipped the fuck out. I love shit like that. I would have a whole room just filled with shit like that if I could, honestly. I'm obsessed with maps and just aerial views of cities and stuff like that. You also have quite the Quentin Tarantino shrine.
I do. Actually, we don't show that in the video. I wish we did, but I got a full Quentin Tarantino wall. We got Inglourious Bastards, The Hateful Eight. We got Pulp
You need
Fiction.
to get a Reservoir Dogs poster in here, though, man.
Dude, I have to. My next place is going to have a longer wall, so I'm trying to get that. But what he's referring to is a map of the Acropolis in Greece, which I actually visited 2 years ago. So
that's so sick, man.
I bought that for €2. Really had it framed. It was
so $16.
Yeah, it's I'm broke now. It's crazy. But yeah, I was I was dead ass at the Acropolis.
That's sweet.
Yeah, it was so.
I've never seen that. I've been to Italy before. I've seen some ruins in Italy, but
I love it.
It wasn't in Rome or anything like that. It was in Venice. But
I've been there too.
Man, it is crazy when you see something that is oh, this is over 2,000 years old.
Yeah,
this has been here for fucking ever. Because in here we're man, this tree trees like 400 years old. That's like the oldest shit we have in America is like trees. But over there, they're just like, yeah, this road, like Romans walked on this road. Like that's insane to me.
And it's still here.
Yeah, and it's still, yeah, exactly. It's
Romans
like, yeah, it never broke.
This road.
It never broke.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, every single summer we have to work on the roads here in the 21st century.
Why can't we just do what they did?
I don't know.
Did that not work well enough for us?
Well, you know, the roads also weren't that big, and horses weren't as heavy as semi-trucks, so that might have something. Because now it's not like, you know, in those roads that the Romans, like, built that are still standing today, like, they just have those little tiny European clown cars on them. Like, they don't have, like, dump trucks and shit like that we have in America or whatever. Like, Italy couldn't survive hillbillies. Like, American hillbillies make all roads, you know, crack and break apart because their trucks are so fucking big. But
dude,
anyway,
it's always every man for themselves driving in Europe.
Yeah,
it's so scary.
It's almost half the time it's every man for himself when you're driving on the freaking highways in Columbus.
Yeah,
yeah, we were going to pick him up, trying to get it over in like 6 lanes or whatever. It's just everybody's trying to
some truck was trying to move in on the lane that I was moving in on. I was like, sorry, buddy.
You guys also picked the worst time to pick me up.
Yeah, it was
like,
rush
at
hour.
4:30 and then trying to get back across Columbus. But we got here on time though. We started at 5:30 though, so I'm pretty impressed with this.
Pretty decent stuff. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
It's hard to find punctuality in the art world.
Yeah.
You know, in the entertainment world, punctuality is just not a thing that happens. Everything just takes a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta be a little on time when there's a semi about to pass over you.
It's that scene from Christmas Vacation where they're just driving under the truck.
That's what it felt like, man.
Or like in the Fast and Furious in the very first one.
Yeah.
And you could totally, if you go back and watch it, you could totally tell that they raised those semi trucks up like 2 feet to get those cars under it. And there's like these giant mysterious black blocks over the wheels for no reason at all. You're like, oh, I've never seen a semi truck look like that. But in the late 90s or whatever, when you're watching that for the first time, you're like, yeah, that's crazy. The cars are so out of the ground. Because I saw that shit in theaters not the day it came out, but the weekend it came out.
My stepdad and I, that's our favorite movie to like really kind of riff on. We love whenever Tokyo Drift comes on. We got to make a point to watch it.
Tokyo. Shout out to Raiden. He played that at the last Space Camp, and it went the fuck off. That song is sweet. Tokyo Drift is actually a sweet movie too. Yeah. I defy anybody to tell me that movie's shitty. I really liked it.
Man. I think it's the best out of the series.
It's one of them. I think so too. Honestly, I really didn't like the second one, but I really loved the first one. The first one was just a flat out good movie. I refuse for anybody to show because it didn't have the same corniness that the newer ones had.
Right.
But like the first one was written by legit crime people, like crime writers and stuff like that, and like directed by good people. But I think like Doug Liman directed that movie or something.
Was it?
But I don't know. Anyway, don't make me go on a fucking movie tangent about Fast and Furious.
I really like the 7th one because they like had that whole tribute to Paul Walker at the end.
It is crazy how they like remade him in the movies after that too.
Yeah. I thought it was crazy how like a lot of people see that like last scene where he turns his head looking at Vin Diesel as like that's the fake Paul Walker bit, but like there's like a dozen other shots in that movie where it's like they completely redid.
Oh yeah, they used his brother.
Yeah,
they used his brother, and then they
they used his brother for like the motion cap, and then took like his phone, either using like a deep fake or like completely recreated his head. And
deep fakes are horrifying. That is the stuff of like the end times to me. Like when they perfectly replicated Joe Rogan, I was like, we're all gonna die.
Yeah.
Like,
but would you be flattered or freaked out if you saw a deep fake of you?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't know if it was a deep fake. I would just...
I did that shit?
Yeah, because I've done so many podcasts at this point, and I've been drunk for like half of them. So, like, I don't know what I've said in half this stuff. So when, like, man, I've had people hit me up about shit I said on podcasts, just like, yo, why would you say that? And I'm just like, I don't remember saying it. I'm sorry, was that me? And then they bring it up. My mom found out I was an atheist on my podcast. Oh. Yeah, she was not happy about that. That was the only lie I'd ever kept from my mom. It was the only thing. Yeah. Because, I mean, like, I wasn't, like, a terrible kid. I didn't have to keep a lot of stuff from my mom.
Yeah.
But, like, I moved out at 18. So, like, it's not like I needed to hide stuff from her. So when she found out I smoked weed, she was like, hey, you probably shouldn't do that. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I'll go ahead and do that. But, then when she heard that on the podcast, though, because I didn't realize how much she listened. And when you guys probably know, too, like, do you guys go back and listen to your podcast?
Yeah. Yeah, mostly to find mistakes if we can fix them.
You guys still edit them and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Man,
we used to go back and just like scrub through the audio, but now that we're doing video, it's kind of like, all right, now we've got the video file, we've got the audio file. Let me sit down for 5 hours straight, chug a few monsters, and get this bitch out before Wednesday morning.
Yeah, facts. Yeah,
I can do that shit too.
I know. I probably might have you edit a couple here and there over the summer.
That's fine. I can totally do that.
Yeah, I don't know. For a while I was editing my podcast and stuff because I had guests on there that really were just saying shit that it's like you can't say that. and so I would have to go through and edit, but then it just got to the point that I was like, I don't give a fuck, man, because if someone hears something they don't like and they make a big stink about it, it's just going to draw attention to it.
Right.
So I'm just like, whatever.
I think we've only had to edit out like 1 or 2 bits or jokes that we made that we were like,
I can go overboard sometimes.
Yeah, I think
like once an
like
episode.
Did you edit it because it was like it was just unfunny or was
it was like either unfunny or just untasteful?
See, I thought it was funny, but you didn't. So
well, I thought it was funny, but like at the time I didn't think that it was a joke that people were gonna be like. Especially, I thought they were gonna be like,
yeah, especially our audience, because
people are sensitive, man.
Yeah,
they can be.
Freaking libtards.
Oh god.
Freaking libtards.
I'm just kidding.
Capture canceled.
Trying to make a classic when it just gets chosen by the masses, man. And I don't even know my name no more. I don't even know my name like what.
But I guess we'll go ahead and mosey on our way towards the questions that we have.
Yeah, you guys have a list.
We got a
real list.
We got quite a bit, man.
When did you decide, or how did you decide that, rapping and just kind of production was going to be the way that you were going to, like, when did you find out that this is where I'm going to go into rap, I'm going to go into music, I'm just going to go into production in general?
Well, I mean, like, I don't know, I was working security, and I worked in this guard shack, and I would check trucks in, so 90% of the day I wasn't talking to anybody. And I had recently, about a year before, not even a year before, but it was a little while before, I had broken up with a girl I was with for like 7 years.
Wow.
And so we were together from the time I was 18 to like 23. And, it was like the first time, I had a little bit of an identity crisis, because I was like, damn, like I'm an adult now, I was living on my own, because we had lived together for a little while. And I had lived on my own, I had like not lived with my parents since I was 18. But we'd been together that whole time, and like half the time we were together probably shouldn't have been or whatever. But then once you're finally done with that relationship, you're like, oh shit, like who the fuck am I? And I'd been listening to hip hop and writing raps for most of my life, and I'd always loved hip hop because it was like my genre of music, and I didn't really have any memories related to it, or there were no like, I mean, you guys probably know how it is. You have a girlfriend or whatever, you and your girlfriend love this song, you guys break up, you don't want to hear that fucking song anymore.
Yeah.
Well, hip-hop, nobody in my life listened to it, so it was all mine. So it was the music I ran to and whatnot. And I was still making music at that point. I'd been making music the whole time I was in that relationship. And I basically just started toying around, like, Tyler, the Creator, was kind of a big inspiration, to be honest, because I hadn't listened to hip-hop in a couple years. I had kind of tuned out of it because I just didn't really like a lot of what was going on. This was like the Lil Wayne mixtape era for the most part. And so I started listening to... I heard Tyler, the Creator's very first album, Bastard. I got it off the Odd Future Wolfgang Kill Them All website, like the first website they'd ever built. You could tell the recording was like in their living room, and I loved it because I was like, damn, these are guys like me. Like you could tell they were just sitting around making music. Then I heard like Big Crit, and then I found a couple more artists, Action Bronson and like ASAP Rocky, and it was sort of that generation of rap was coming up, and I was like, damn, these guys are like rapping stuff that I like. And it's not really about violence or anything. It's about partying and whatever. And just like my life, the way I was living it started aligning with rap and the music I was listening to. And then I just got possessed. It was the summer of 2013. I just got possessed to start writing raps. And I didn't have any beats yet. I didn't know what I was going to do. I figured I could find some or whatever. So then that whole summer I just spent writing my first mixtape. And I still was unsure about what I was going to do with it, if I was going to actually do anything. But then I randomly met this guy named Jay Storm, who's a good friend of mine still to this day. He's the first hip hop friend I ever met. He taught me like half of what I know. But I randomly ran into him when I was on acid at a party one time. And it was this party way out in the country. I was like dressed in a fur coat and like gym shorts and like combat boots, and
it's an interesting combination.
I was a mess. I was a total mess. And there were like off-duty cops at this fucking party. Like it was the wrong party for me to be at. But it was my friend Hillary, and I forgot how much of a country girl she was and how many just country people she knew. And so, but then he was like the only, him and his cousin were there, and they were like rapping and shit. And I was like, oh, finally, someone I can fucking relate to. But then he slowly started telling me to like, yo, you should take this serious. You should release a mixtape. You should do this and that. So then I didn't talk to, we'd only see each other about 1 month or once every month. And then after like 2 months, he came over one time and I was like, hey, I want to show you something. And I showed him my mixtape. So that was, I guess, the first decision to do it. And like, but in terms of my interest, I'd always wanted to like be in entertainment. I'd always wanted to make music, and I've been making music since I was 14. Like I recorded my first song, I think when I was 16 maybe. And so I always knew that was kind of one of the things, but I'd essentially just kind of given up on it. Because when you live in a small town, man, you're like, everybody, and this is also like right as I graduated, like the recession happened. So there were fucking no jobs anywhere.
Yeah.
And everyone is just freaking out about money. And gas is $3.75 a gallon. And like, it was just, and when you live in a small town, people basically tell you like, hey, you better get that factory job. Because like, that's all there is to get. And so I just kind of assumed like, yeah, I would just be one of those people that kind of had a dream, but just wasn't able to do it because I never had enough money and blah, blah, blah. Like I'd already sort of given up in a way. But then I just realized, I was like, no, there's no reason to do that, and I'm in control of it 100%. I don't know what the thing was that sort of clicked or told me that, but I just started doing it, man. And then after I released the first mixtape, it was 6 months until I released my next project, and I just kind of kept it moving from there.
That's
nice.
dope, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, first time I ever saw you, and I think I talked to you this evening too. It was 2016 Fools for Hip Hop Fest over at the Vanderell.
Yeah.
Remember that night?
No.
No?
I know I was there. I don't remember that night. Man, I do a lot of shows, so it's like...
Fair enough, yeah.
Because I remember the first time I talked to you was at Victory's. Because you showed up super early one time. Mm-hmm. And I remember you were always asking about shows being like, yo, is it under, or is like 18 and up cool or whatever? And I was like, yo, why is he so fucking stressed about this? But then now I know why you're so stressed about it. Because you're young as fuck. But,
I've been kicked out of so many shows.
Yeah.
I thought it was 18 plus, it was 21 plus. So I've driven like half an hour just to get kicked out of shows. Mm. So I freak out about that stuff.
Yeah.
And if I get some, like I've had people tell me that it's not. And then it is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that stuff does happen, man. I got put in a position last weekend at a show that I was throwing for Prodigal's tour. And he would actually be a good guest to get on this podcast as well. Yeah. But
he reposted his album.
Yeah. But yeah, man, he, the bar basically told us, like, hey, we're capping the amount of people under 21 at, like, 10. And so, sure enough, 10 people were already in the bar waiting when we got there. And so then it just turned into like more and more people showed up that were under 21, and we had to keep asking the bar like, can they come in please? Because we want to get their money from the door too, and we would just want people in the show. But the bar's like, hey, we can't do anything with 18-year-olds here, so it gets kind of tricky or whatever. But no, the 2016 Fools for Hip Hop Fest, I was... Oh, God, I can't. Oh, fuck, I remember that one. Because Tino was there.
Yeah.
I didn't stay very long, too.
He put on a kick-ass show, man.
Yeah, Tino's great. Tino was the first person to ever hear me rap.
Really?
Yeah, he was the first. Oh. I had done, before I showed any of my friends anything, and I just came up with the name Sam Rothstein and recorded some, like, proto versions of songs that I had. And I put them on SoundCloud, and I was like, okay... This is where I'm obviously going to meet people that are doing music. So I typed in Ohio hip hop, and boop, his song Ohio was the first thing that came up. So I listened to it. I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. So I sent it to him, and he was like, yo, man, you snapped on this. And I was just like, because I could tell he was like a real rapper. Like he had been like doing it and stuff. He had plays on his music and all that. And And so then randomly we met like years later, just randomly, and I was like, yo, I think I sent you some music on SoundCloud. He was like, I thought that was you. And then we've been pretty close friends ever since, man. I always try to bring him up here to Columbus. He always tries to get me down to Dayton. He's got me down there a lot. But yeah, Tino was there. My dudes, the Wright brothers, were there.
Yes.
From Maryland. They were also some of the first people I'd ever met in hip hop, and I met them through Jay Storm. And Izzy Strange was there. Also one of the first people I'd ever met in hip hop. Also met through fucking Jay Storm.
Nice.
And that was a really good night. And I had to go though because I went to a party later that night. And it was so funny because like Tino was like, yo, my headlight's out in my car. So I can't drive home. Can I crash with you? I was like, that's fine, but I'm going to a party after this. And so I'm going to be up like late because it was like, it wasn't just like a drinking party. It was like, we're going to do fucking drugs. And so he was like, I knew he was sober too. Tino doesn't do anything. He'll drink. He'll maybe have a drink here or there, I think, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, that's perfect because I don't go to sleep till like 6 a.m. anyway, regularly. I was like, that's random, but okay. And so he went with me to this house full of fucking people that were strangers to him, but I knew them all. But everybody was just smacked, man. Like, everybody was on Molly in there and acid and all types of shit. And it was wild. But I just kicked it with Tino the whole night, and it was a really, really good time. We didn't have any incident. And he got to be my DD and get me home safely and whatnot. So it worked out really well. So, yeah, I do remember that. But that's why I had trouble remembering that fucking show.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, I usually don't party a whole bunch after shows anymore. And I don't really party like that, period, anymore.
Yeah.
Like, just because I'm 30, like, you just can't. You can only do that shit for so long.
Yeah.
But
I remember we went to your show at Victory's. I think it was last month.
Your release show for
yeah,
and it was I think it was supposed to start earlier or something. And you were like, we're gonna go ahead and get started because I don't want to wait too late to get drunk.
Yeah, like sometimes, man, it's just annoying when I'm like, you know, when people book shows. If they're not an artist themselves, they think when they give somebody the headliner slot, that's like a coveted position. But nobody wants to be the headliner. Unless it's really your headlining show and you're fucking Fergie or whatever and everyone's there to see you. But nobody wants to be the headliner. Nobody wants to go on first and nobody wants to go on last. You want to go on right in the middle. So when it's a release show, and it's my release show, I'm just like, I'm going out in the middle. I want to get drunk. Like, I don't want to have to wait all night and be nervous. Because with release shows, it's like, it's not a regular show.
Yeah.
I could do a regular set up there and it'd just be fine, but like it was all brand new material that I just memorized, and I had memorized it in theory. Like, I didn't know if I'd memorized it yet because like it's not memorized until you actually rap it and whatnot and get it out there again. So I don't think I made really that many mistakes though. I made like 1 or 2, but they were mostly in the acapella, so nobody could tell.
Yeah, if you did, I didn't fucking notice. So.
Yeah, most people say that, and I just don't ever believe them when they say that.
There was that one that you did. I can't remember the title, but it was, you're like, we're not going to do any beat. I'm just going to say it. Mm-hmm. What was the name of it?
It's called Sirens.
Sirens.
Yeah.
I'm a huge spoken word poetry guy because I'm a fucking dork.
Watsky.
But,
you like Watsky?
I'm a huge George Watsky fan. And I don't know if you ever listened to it. But he's a rapper, but he got to start doing spoken word poetry.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So when I was already really enjoying your show, but then when you did that, I was just like kind of like.
It's so funny because so many people, you know, to me, it's just an acapella, but to so many other people, they're like, yeah, I didn't know you did spoken word poetry, and I'm like, I don't. It's just an acapella, but it is, but they are the same. Like they're the same exact thing. And I just, with that one, man, like, I knew I wanted, on most of my older projects, I've had at least one acapella or one moment in the project somewhere where it's just my voice. Mm-hmm. And I've always enjoyed doing that. And I've always enjoyed not being restricted by a beat and just getting to, because then you can play around more with kind of rapping and talking at the same time. You can say more complicated ideas and stuff like that when you're doing more spoken word stuff. But I just felt like, you know, it'd been so long since I had released music, and it'd been so long since I had released anything sort of like lyrically complicated, I guess, for lack of a better word, that I was just like, you know what? Because I was in full don't give a fuck mode when I made Lights Out in the Palace. I was just completely like, I just want to you know, release something I think is cool and the concept that I like, but I was like, fuck it, I'll make the intro like a 5-minute long spoken word thing. So it's like they have to listen to it if they want to hear to the end or whatever. But yeah, the feedback on that's been really good. And I just wanted to kind of be truthful and show people that it's like, yeah, I can still do this type of shit too. Even though I've sort of changed my flow and the beats I go over a little bit more than I used to or whatever.
Yeah. And I like hip hop, I like rap, but I really like spoken word because I feel like the beat and the instrumentals can kind of take away from the lyrics, and I personally tend to focus more on the lyrics than I do the actual what's behind it.
That's a lot of people do, man. There's that's the interesting thing about hip hop is I feel like it's becoming sort of factional in terms of as more younger white people, I don't know how else to say it delicately, but as more white people get into listening to hip hop and stuff like that, they often don't listen to hip hop with other people. They listen to it by themselves. Mm-hmm. And so they don't hear it in a community. Like, nobody wants to listen to spoken word in a club. Like, that just sucks. Like, because when you're in a club, you're with people, you all want to hear the music together, girls want to dance, people want to drink, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But when you're by yourself, if you're just listening to Lil Jon all day when you're by yourself, some people do that. But it's like, a lot of people are music listeners. They're there and they have the headphones in and they want to listen. They want to discover something in that. You know what I mean? And with Migos or Future or whatever, I'm not even trying to dog on the music, but there's only so much you can learn from that after a while. So people that are just sort of listeners of hip hop and don't go to tons of shows and aren't out there in it all the time do tend to gravitate towards more lyrical stuff because there's more meat to chew on, basically. You know what I mean? There's more to discover there. And I'm definitely the same way. I would rather... The type of hip hop I started making changed because of how many shows I did. Because I was like, okay, I can't just do super lyrical, spiritual, miracle stuff all day and night because I'm entertaining a crowd. It's not just about art anymore. It's about entertainment as well. And but yeah, me doing Sirens was a reaction to that. Of like, it had been so long of me doing songs that I were trying to make into bangers or make that are more accessible for a crowd of people or whatever, that I was like, fuck it. Do something completely inaccessible, completely, lyrical, spiritual, miracle, whatever type stuff. So that's basically why I did that.
I have the exact opposite problem where anytime I write something, like I'm a big Aesop Rock fan. Mm-hmm. So obviously his music is lyrically like more unique words. Like, have you seen that chart where he's like way over everybody?
Yeah.
So I'm just generally a wordy person and I use a lot of big long words. And, that's just the way I present myself. And so when I write music, that comes out a lot. And I have zero potential of writing a banger. Like, I can't write a party song.
Yeah, but it's also...
I don't listen to that either.
Yeah, you have no potential to do it because it's not your truth.
Exactly.
That's not who you are. I have zero potential to write a party banger because I don't fucking party anymore. I came close when I partied and when I did stuff, but the hardest part about rap is just living like a rapper.
Yeah.
Like, that's the hardest part because most people are just regular people who just want to write music. And if you make folk music, you can sing about whatever the fuck you want and no one bats an eye. Yeah. No one cares ever. If you have a guitar in front of you and you're singing the words, people don't ever scrutinize or look at what you're saying. But as soon as you start rapping it, everything changes. And like me, Aesop Rock, he is obviously one of the most talented artists, I think, independent artists of all time, really. I fucking hate his music. I cannot stand it because I hate that many big words and stuff. I
respect that opinion, though.
Well, it's just, he's a legend, and he's a legend for a reason. And he's one of the greatest freestylers of all time, too. But, I don't know, man. I just, like, sometimes I feel like dudes are just rhyming words. Like, that's how I feel about Eminem now.
Yeah.
And it's like, yo, you're just rhyming words. You're not saying anything, but you're just rhyming a bunch of words together.
Spiritual, lyrical, miracle.
Yes. And that is the stuff that I knew, because I had that crowd that likes that stuff. I had them in my fucking pocket early on. Like, I could have appealed, because that's why, like, like Illogic and then from Super Duty Tough, that's why they know who I am. It was because, like, when I first came out and I was doing more stuff like that, rap-wise, a lot of the old heads, and dude, and I don't even say that disrespectfully either. I just mean, like, the older guard of hip-hop noticed me, and they were like, who the fuck is this random white dude with the beard that's, like, rapping like this? But I also knew that I was going to be stuck in the mud if I stayed in that position and if I only catered to that thing.
Yeah.
So every project I've ever done has been outrunning something. You know what I mean? And trying to like get to some new space, I guess.
All right.
Time is cash and they don't give it out. So when you grab that bag, be in and out. Long as that whip ain't crashing or spinning out, we gon' smash a couple baddies, so we smashing in and out. Eat up.
An episode of the Gab Street Podcast would not be without a mention of our sponsor, The Green Room. The Green Room is a shop that'll be opening up near the end of 2019 and will feature products from t-shirts to tobacco products, similar to a Spencer's or a Waterbed and stuff. Have you ever been to one of those? If you're interested in hearing more about The Green Room and where you can find one of these stores, make sure to tune into more episodes of the Gab Street Podcast. Now back to the show.
Yeah. You guys feel like doing a longer episode? Are you cool with that? Because like,
I mean, we still got a lot to talk about. I think we can go up to about an hour and a half if we want to.
I'm so glad you said that because every podcast I've ever been on is like, you want to do a longer episode? You should probably do a longer episode. Because they realize, well, because I always warn people, I'm like, hey, I'm going to fucking talk if I'm on your podcast. And they're like, yeah, we'll be fine.
Let's do it.
We probably could have done like 3 hours with Jackson, honestly.
We honestly could. Yeah.
Like, shout out Jackson once again because we fucking love you.
We found out he was the one that bought that shirt.
He bought the shirt. Yes.
We sell merch up on Redbubble.
Oh,
we had a reference. We had a reference shirt that we did from when Kenneth was on.
Yeah.
And so we had and he bought it. And
hell yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you for supporting us. You're awesome.
Big shout out to Kenneth. He's one of the most supportive people in the scene.
Yeah.
I love Kenneth so much. Actually, like he was one of the first people I ever met.
We did the episode with him, and then like the next day we went to your show, and he showed up, and we were like, "Oh, hey, long time no see."
Yeah.
That was the day before, wasn't it? Yeah, that was great.
He's been to almost every one of my shows.
Nice.
I would say at least 2/3 of them, and that's a lot of fucking shows in the past 2 years.
That's sweet. And it's not even like his vocation either.
Oh.
Like it's not his moneymaker, it's not his thing. He just likes it.
He just fucking does it. Yeah. Because I mean, everybody started hearing about him at the same time. People were just like, who the fuck is this hip hop C-Bus guy? And like somehow that name had never been taken on Instagram. And like he just got it. But and then he told me who he was. I was like, oh shit, okay. And because I guess one of my shows was one of the first ones he'd ever been to. I don't know which show it was though. I think I was at the Summit or something like that.
Yeah. That was a show I got kicked out of.
Really?
The Summit. I was trying to see Emperor Chaz there, and yeah, I was waving money in the person's face, like just let me the fuck in. I'm not gonna drink. It's fine.
They don't care about that.
Yeah,
they don't.
I know Scully's. If you're under 21, they pay a $5 fee to let you in.
A lot of places are like that. It just depends on the bar, man. But any bar near campus is way strict about that. If they're near campus, they don't want to mess with it. So
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
it is campus.
I don't think Victory's, they don't give a shit, do they?
No, Victory's doesn't card because they just card at the bar.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they've never approached me or anything. So that's cool.
Well, because their place is more like we're letting people in because people can do more shit than drink there too. Mm-hmm. People want to get food or whatever. So
a friend of my dad's had a band that was relatively big in Columbus back in the day called 171.
Yeah.
But apparently they used to play there like all the fucking time, and they were like on the Blitz and shit. Yeah.
That's cool. I never knew that.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know if I have like some of their. Kyle, who's the lead singer, was in a band before that called Delightfully Strange, and that they were like starting to get up there, but then my dad went to high school with those guys. My parents went to high school with those guys, and eventually I think they broke up. Then Kyle started 171. Then stuff happened, and now Kyle has like a new band called Alternative Nation, which I don't think is nearly as big as his past projects, but he's still out there.
Yeah, I admire any band that can get their shit to where it's like popular or whatever, because to do anything, it's hard enough to do it as a rapper when it's like basically your own vision that you're responsible for carrying out.
Yeah.
But then when you have to deal with a group of people, because like when you're in a band, you just have 4 girlfriends you can't have sex with, basically. It's just like 4 girlfriends that you're gonna fight with and all this other stuff, but you can't, like, you get none of the girlfriend benefits whatsoever. And like that's what being in a band is. You just have to make this weird super hetero polyamorous relationship work, and it just doesn't I don't know, man. I can never do it. I've been in bands before too, because I play drums, I play guitar, and I've played with groups of guys too, and that's honestly like the biggest goal of my 30s, other than getting my first feature film made, is just finding a group of people I can play with.
Yeah.
And like just jam with and stuff like that, and be in a band with.
Reminds me of a certain group of video makers.
You're making Outage Couch reference?
Yeah, I am. We used to do a thing, and what you just described sounds very...
There's a group of us that used to make YouTube videos, but it kind of like caked its pants about a year in.
It can, man.
I learned shit from it, though. I learned so much.
You live and you learn.
You have to, man. That's what it's all about. It's all because my thing is, man, when I want to work with people, I don't want to know what their successes are. I want to know what their failures are.
Yeah.
And because if people don't have any failures, that means they're not trying anything interesting. Mm-hmm. And I just call it eating a dick. Like that's always been my phrase. So many people don't like it when I say it, but it's always been my phrase. But it's like sometimes you just gotta eat that dick, man. Like that's just the way it is. And and me and Raiden have always said that too, because it's just like we try a lot of new show ideas and stuff. We try a lot of new concepts with shows, and they don't always work. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just like you get paid in a lesson as opposed to getting paid in money. You know? So, yeah.
How did you end up doing any more of that Beat Meat series?
We wanted to do a third one, but I didn't really run Beat Meat. I just sort of helped facilitate it and hosted it. Shout out to Annie Nokler. She is her and Evan the Redhead kind of came up with the idea for Beat Meat, and then they just sort of came to me and tried to figure out how to put it on. And I think I got us into Two Truths the first time and Hamptons the second time. But I wanted to do a third one. I wanted to do them more regular, but when I kind of approached them about it, they seemed like they had different plans for it, or they were wanting to work on other stuff and wanted it to be more of a special thing as opposed to a reoccurring thing.
Yeah.
So I haven't heard any more from them about it, because also Annie moved. She lives in either Cincinnati or Dayton now.
Okay.
But big shout out to her and everybody in the Beat Me crew. I love them all to death. It's one of the most fun events I've ever been a part of, honestly.
Yeah, I just went to the second one, I think, and it was pretty fun. I liked it a lot.
It's just a fucking circus. It's just like American Gladiators with lyrics and beats, basically. So
yeah, K Bronx was there with me. I'm like, dude, just run up there, like hand him a flash drive, just be like, put him on there. I don't know if that'll work or not, but
yeah, it won't.
I figured it wouldn't, but he was kind of down to do it.
At every single hip hop show I've ever been to, there's that one guy who's like, bro, I'll tell you what, I could be probably about $1,000 richer right now if I took all the money from dudes that said like, yo, I'll pay you right now to get me on stage. Like, I could have easily $1,000 in my bank account from just the amount of people I've said no to with that.
But $10,000 in dignity.
Mm-hmm. I mean, fuck dignity. Like, I'd rather have the 1,000. But no, it's really just I'm not going to compromise the integrity of one of my shows, because I've buckled before and done that and like let people sort of bully their way on the stage.
Yeah.
And it's never right, because it's a slap in the face to the guys that got booked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like if any old asshole can just walk off the street. But in hip hop, that just seems to be a thing that rappers are just programmed to fucking ask. Is just like, yo, can I get on? Like, can I get a song? It's like, no, dude. And it's like, yo, I'll release the flyer to a show. All you assholes watching, please, just don't do this. We'll release a flyer to a show. Yo, are there any slots left? It's like, no. That's why we released the flyer to the show. That's why we have a list of fucking artists right here for you to see. No, there's no slots left. When we released the Cloud City lineup, yo, is there any slots left? It's like, no. There's 26 slots that we just gave you right here. No, there's no slots left.
I saw that for 2x2 Fest. Shout out 2x2 Fest and Josh Miller, first of all. Repping the fest today. But
I got my work clothes on.
Yeah, you're repping Micro Center right now. But like I've watched in person, because I used to volunteer there. I'm just going this year, but I volunteered there for like 2 or 3 years, and I would physically watch rappers walk up to Josh Miller and Cole Baker, and just be like, hey, at the festival,
Yeah.
Can I get on here?
Yeah, and he's got to go, no, man, and blah, 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 and like act like he's not utterly fucking offended at the question. And I've seen him do it too. Because if it ever happens if I'm at a buddy of mine that's throwing a show and I see it happen to them, I'm just like, yo, get the fuck on, dude. Then I'm like, no, you can't get on. And they're like, who the fuck are you? And I'm like, don't worry about it. But yeah, that shit is infuriating to me. But then again, part of me gets it. Like, that's the reason I'm okay at throwing shows, is because I was that rapper that was like, fuck, you see a show happening and you're just like, how do I get on there? How do I do this? And, but early on, I just had people I got to watch my buddy Jay Storm because he was throwing shows. He was from LA, moved to Virginia, and then had just moved back to Ohio. And he was throwing shows in a city that he didn't even live in Ohio. And so I just realized, I was like, oh, this is just knowing people. Yeah. That's all it is. It's just knowing people. And that's all the entertainment business is, just period. So, there, pro tip. Know people.
I thought I found a light, but now I found it's turning black. They tell me slow down, I'm acting like I ain't heard of that. Cause it's the feeling that I get after I murder tracks. That's just how I like it.
Speaking of, shows and Cloud City, can you talk about that a little bit? Like, what is Cloud City?
So, Cloud City is a multimedia bazaar. We're trying not to call it a festival, but for lack of a better term, it is a festival. Even though multimedia bazaar is technically supposed to be the better term.
I like that.
But, we wanted to do... My friend Cassie approached me and Raiden. She'd been very helpful to us and very supportive of our events and whatnot. And she runs Matter News. She also helped start the Move 614, which is basically an organization that just tells people what's going on every weekend in Columbus. Mm-hmm. And she, approached us, was like, hey, I want to throw a festival with you guys. What do you guys think? Me and Raiden had been talking for the past year about, like, man, 2019, we're going to throw a festival. Like, we're going to do something festival-sized. So we were just like, okay, fuck it. I guess this is going to be the festival that we do. And, we came up with the name, decided we wanted to call it Cloud City. That was just a name me and Raiden had laying around for, we have a whole list of just good, cool names for shit. And so, like, when we finally have an opportunity, we'll pluck one out and use it. I always thought Cloud City would be a good name for a festival. But then I was just like, okay, but if we're going to call it Cloud City, I say... Because budget-wise, and we had so many things working against us just as a first-year festival, we weren't going to be able to compete in size with ComFest or, any of the other bigger festivals that go on. Shit like 2x2 Fest that's had, 4 years under its belt. Yeah. But when it comes to originality, I knew we could win. So I was like, we need to make this an actual city. We need to treat it... I wanted to treat it like it was... Like, you guys play video games and shit, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, I wanted to treat it like an open world game. Yeah. I wanted to build something that's like a little world for people to walk into, and they can go explore shit and look around everywhere, and there's different buildings to go inside of and stuff like that.
Got side quests and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And no one else in the making of the festival has really been looking at it that way, but that was always my vision, and like it was always my intent to create a very immersive world that feels like it's been there long before you ever got there. And so that's when I was just like, fuck it, we'll have skating in there, we'll have VR in there, we'll have gaming, fashion, dance, film. We wanted to focus more on art forms that aren't really your typical festival fare. We didn't want a bunch of fucking bead necklaces and, just like indie rock bands and stuff like that. Because that's what a lot of festivals are. Yep. And that's all fine and good, that's cool. But we wanted to do something that's like more EDM, hip-hop centric, kind of futuristic feeling. Do you guys ever play Jet Set Radio? Have you ever played any of those?
Isn't that top down?
No,
I'm thinking of something else.
It's like, have you heard of Sunset Overdrive?
Yeah.
It's like kind of like that. Sunset Overdrive is like a spiritual successor in a way.
That's right.
It's just kind of like, it's like, think of a Tony Hawk game, but you're on rollerblades and you're going through an entire city rather than a state.
Yeah, and you're graffitiing stuff. Yeah. It's like, it's about like these group of kids. There's these rollerblade gangs in Tokyo, and they all get their like anti-corporate propaganda from this radio station called Jet Set Radio, and this like DJ like tells them secret messages and stuff. But it's all about you just rollerblading around this city and spray painting shit, and that's all it is. But aesthetically, I played that game when I was like in the 7th grade, and it fucking blew my mind, and it's stuck with me ever since. And like, I just wanted a festival that just felt kind of just fun and vibrant and video game like, to when you're a kid and you know, play that first Grand Theft Auto game or whatever, and you realize that it's like, yo, the power's in your hands. Like, you can go wherever you want, do whatever you want. I want to create that same vibe for people when they walk through those gates. And so the lineup is crazy. I can't even begin to tell you all the people on it. You're just gonna have to go follow us at Cloud City 614 on Instagram and Twitter, I believe, and then also on Facebook. And then you can just go to the website, which is cloudcity614.com, to get the full lineup. But we mainly wanted it to be EDM-ish, hip-hop-ish, because that's kind of where me and Raiden, our expertise is for the most part. Yeah. In terms of booking. But yeah, we're going to have a movie theater in there. We're going to have a comedy club. We're going to have a fucking photo studio. We're going to have a barcade. We're going to have a little grocery store. We're going to have like a medic tent. We're really trying to build a city. Damn. And I want to have scavenger hunts and shit in there. I want to have all types of hidden stuff for people to do. And yeah, we're really trying to, the same way you guys call your people pedestrians, that's why I freaked out about that. That's why I thought it was so cool. Yeah. Because we are doing the same thing with Cloud City. Everything we're doing, we're trying to take the city angle of it. Of like, what would the firemen of Cloud City look like? What would the fucking auditors of Cloud City? You know, we're really trying to take it out its full, you know, way and really run with that idea as much as possible. So it'll be September 7th at 400 Rich. Tickets are going to go on sale very, very soon. And yeah, we're going to have multiple tiers of tickets too. There's going to be lots of options in terms of, you know, discounts if you buy them with a group of people and stuff like that. So we're not trying to gouge people right out of the gate or whatever, but we will have ticket options for people that want to pay more. We will have ticket options for people that want to pay less as well. And also, I don't know, when do you guys release your episodes? When will this one be?
Wednesdays. This will go up a week from today that we're recording it.
Okay, bet. Yeah. So in that case, 2 days from when you guys see this at Chrome Edge Studios, on June 21st, we are having the free pre-event for Cloud City. So we're doing a little mini version of Cloud City in there. We're going to have some gaming station set up, some photo studios set up. We're going to do a video director showcase. We're going to have a dank meme war. We're going to have all types of shit. And then we're going to have a couple different DJs, you know, a few different rappers and singers, bands and stuff like that. So that's going to be the first pre-event we're going to do, and we're going to try and do another one in August as well. But it's free. It's fucking all ages. So come through. Yeah, and it's, I can't say that it's BYOB, but it's BYOB. So, yeah.
Dude, so I already called work off for this shit. Like, I put it in my system.
Hell yeah.
September 7th. Yeah. I've been amped for this since like the very first moment I heard about it.
It's gonna be interesting, man. It's the hardest thing that me and my team have ever had to do. Yeah. Shouts out to everybody that's been working with us on it. Cassie, Emily, Isaiah, all the Cloud City crew. I love you guys all so much. It's been a fucking challenge, man. Yeah. It's really, really hard throwing festivals together. And also shout out to the other festivals in Columbus. Shout out to 2x2 and Josh. I'm helping them with their pre and after event and stuff like that, so be sure to make it out to those. Big shout out to Narbecue. I think Narbecue definitely takes the cake. I don't want to say that they have a better lineup than ours only because we're covering sort of different sectors of music, but the lineup for Narbecue this year is the most completed, didn't miss a beat fucking music fest lineup I've ever seen. They've got metal bands in there, they've got EDM in there, they've got hip hop, they've got singers, they've got indie rock, they've got folk, they've got comedy, they've got everything in there. So big shout out to the guys at Narbecue, guys and gals at Narbecue as well. And so yeah.
We might have to check that out.
Yeah, Narbecue's going to be fucking crazy. I'm definitely going this year, provided I'm not booked out of town somewhere.
Where is that?
So it's going to be at it's Woodland's backyard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just right down the street.
Nice.
So
and when is that?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's in July. Most of the festivals this summer are kind of all tucked away in July, which is we're kind of the last one to the trough. We're, you know, originally we were going to be there on June 7th. And it's sort of a blessing in disguise. Our date got pushed, but there was some fuckery with the government of Columbus, and they had basically forced us to change our date because they didn't make. It's a big fucking story. I'm not gonna get into it. I'm not gonna chew up that amount of time. But yeah.
But Cloud City is September 7th.
September 7th at 400 Rich. Tickets will be going on sale very, very soon, and we hope to see you guys there.
It'll be kick ass. Yeah.
Cool.
She said this life gon' kill me, yes it probably will. But I feel like I'm dying when I'm standing still. Bitch, don't ban my phone, I got some things I'm doing. Yes, baby, I love you, just not like the music.
So earlier we mentioned your release show when we went there, and I wanted to bring up, just because I've been bumping Lights Out in the Palace since that day.
Thank you.
Of course, man. Like
Thank you.
It's fucking slaps. And like,
well, you can thank Raiden for that, man. Raiden definitely brought the heat with production in there. Yeah. Raiden and Replay, man.
Antonym?
Yeah.
Who was that?
That was Raiden.
Raiden?
Yeah.
That beat goes hard.
It really does. It's one of Raiden's best beats. I'm so thankful he gave it to me. Yeah. I'm thankful I did it justice. It was, I really liked that song. That was the song that actually made me write the project. Really? I had that hook idea. That hook was on a different song, and it was originally for something else. And then I heard that beat, and I just sort of had the melody, and I was playing with it for about a month or so. But then once I actually wrote the song, I was like, okay, I need to do a whole project with this and whatnot. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I wrote this down because I wanted to ask about it, but I think this is the hook that you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Is she said this life gonna kill me? Yes, it probably will, but I feel like I'm dying when I'm standing still. Does that hold true for you?
Yeah.
Do you feel that?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, obviously you wouldn't write something fake, but...
For sure. So all the songs in Lights Out in the Palace are all, tied together. It's the whole project is like about one thing, which is like, for some reason... That was an album idea. When we were making Rubicon, that was one of the title ideas I had. Raiden didn't really like it, but I was like, well, this shit's sick as fuck, so fuck you. I'm going to do something with it.
I like it.
But I had been thinking about Saddam Hussein a lot, oddly enough. And, like, this is like a weird story, but there's an HBO miniseries a long time ago that came out called The House of Saddam. And I do fan mixes of movies, which is basically like when the Star Wars prequels came out, everyone fucking hated them, so they started editing Jar Jar Binks out of the movie and like redoing it. But then that started a whole culture of people that re-edit movies and stuff like that. And it's a very like secretive, hard to get into online culture, but I've been doing it for years now. Okay. And I just remix movies basically. Like I did one where I took Training Day and put it all in black and white, and then put the LA Noire soundtrack, like the video game soundtrack, over it and blend it in and stuff like that. It's just different. It's just like remixing a song, but you just do it with movies instead. Yeah. So I was doing one. I tried to compile every single movie that had ever been made about the War on Terror into one long continuous story. And so I took like 20 different movies and mashed them all together. So I needed scenes from House of Saddam. So that got me thinking about, I saw what his palace looked like. And what the palace looked like after the American military dropped a bomb through it. And I was really just happened to see a bunch of content and different things about people that had sort of, fallen off or gotten their wish and it didn't turn out to be what they wanted, or they sacrificed so much for success and it didn't turn out well. So the whole idea of Lights Out in the Palace is like, you've achieved your dream, you've already made it, you've got your big ass palace, but now things are failing and you can't even keep the lights on. And like, so that's really what it's about. It's about getting what you want and it not being what you thought. Yeah. And the thing that you thought you wanted is actually the thing that's going to trap you and stuff like that. And it's about being trapped in a big empty palace all alone, kind of. So yeah, those lyrics of like, she said this life won't kill me. That's something that an ex of mine has said. And, and I've said, like, yeah, it probably will, but it's like the alternative, is, because that's the song, that's how I like it, or how I like it. Well, I forget what the name of the fucking song is. Like it's a 4-letter word. Yeah, like it's a 4-letter word. I forget my own song title. It's a real professional.
Forget your own name, too. Hey.
But that's what that song is about, too. Of just like, it's about, these are all the destructive things that this is doing to me. This is all bad stuff that's happening to me. But yeah, I like it. Because like this is the alternative to not doing this stuff is a dull sort of meaningless existence in and of itself or whatever. Yeah. So that's sort of the vibe of the whole project, is just about like having success and it's not what it was. And it's sort of a sequel to Sad Los Angeles, the last EP I did before that. Because Sad Los Angeles is just about the dichotomy of, you're in LA, you think you're making moves musically, but it's rainy the whole time, and it's like shit's not working out, and you don't feel cool, you feel lame, and stuff like that. Like, I love taking traditional hip-hop tropes and then trying to flip them on their head and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's basically what Antonym is kind of about. Is just about, like, sorry, like I do love you, and like I'm into you as well, but it's not nearly as much as I'm into the music and stuff. So that's kind of what it's about. It's like I sound like a super big dick on this whole project too. Like, and a lot of it is intentional. It's a very crass project. It's very like I don't want to say sexist, but it's just like it is very overtly sexual and just sort of like dismissive and not really accounting for people's feelings. And like that is the whole way I wanted to do it. I wanted to portray somebody who had sacrificed all decency for their art and stuff like that, and then kind of play that idea out of like, what's the logical conclusion of that? What does that sound and look like? Which is why it sounds so fucking dark and depressing and whatnot. Which is also why I did the Nine Inch Nails cover at the very end of it too.
Yeah.
So
the line begins to blur. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with the Nine Inch Nails, and so I've played that cover and wrote that cover a long time ago. At least like the guitar to it, because it sounds nothing like the original song. But and I never knew where to put it. But I was kind of, when I started putting this project together, I was like, you know what, man, I'm gonna do that, because no one puts cover songs on their hip hop albums either. That's just a thing that doesn't happen. So
true.
Yeah.
I think their version of Hurt is better than the Johnny Cash cover.
Yeah, I mean, you're one of the few people, but Trent Reznor's version of Hurt is great, man. And it was obviously great enough to get Johnny Cash's attention. So yeah. I think they're both good. There's a lot of instances where the cover is better. Because like people don't know that Tainted Love by Soft Cell, that's a cover.
Yeah.
Like plenty of people have covered the Soft Cell version of it, like Marilyn Manson or whatever, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, that's almost all pop songs that came out in the 80s are all covers of songs by obscure artists in the 60s. And it's amazing how much music has gotten recycled throughout the ages, and hits get recycled. Mm-hmm. But then as soon as you sample 15 seconds of a fucking Marvin Gaye song, you need to have a $20 million lawsuit about it. It's complete bullshit. The world is so unbelievably fucking biased towards hip-hop and so dismissive of it. And still to this day, hip-hop doesn't get an iota of the actual respect that it deserves. So
I agree.
Yeah.
So another thing I noticed, I read this in one of the Alive articles that you've been interviewed for.
Yeah.
You call where you live now, or is it?
Well, I live in Bexley now, so I don't call Bexley Little Vegas, but
what is Little Vegas?
So, man, I grew up in Lancaster, Ohio, and there's nothing to do in that town but do drugs. And somewhere along the line, once I was sort of in high school, a friend of mine who actually I'm so happy to say he's still around, and he still kind of comes to my shows and stuff like that. He coined the phrase. It was my friend Matt. He just started calling it Little Vegas, and like I thought that was the coolest shit ever, and so it just kind of caught on, and we just sort of called Lancaster Little Vegas, because you can't rhyme anything with Lancaster, but and it just sort of, it's just like a little joke we had and what we called our hometown and stuff. And so that's really where it came from. But I just realized once I did the Sam Rothstein thing, and I was Sam Rothstein, that I was like, well, where is the character of Sam Rothstein? Where is he actually in? And then Little Vegas was, I remembered that, and I was like, oh, well, this is perfect. Because I was rapping about Lancaster. I was rapping about what was going on. A ton of my friends were getting addicted to heroin and stuff like that, and, Percocet and... just name it. And the city in general was just in fucking chaos. It was crazy. It was a really, really wild time that I was writing about and stuff like that. And, and I knew I needed to kind of get away from it and get out of there. But I also knew that I couldn't start my rap career, be an artist, and not talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
And so, that's really where it came from, was just needing a cooler way to say Lancaster, Ohio. So,
fair enough. Yeah. I mean, when you write stuff, you got to write from what you know, and that's what you knew. I mean,
and it's like, I look, man, there's a lot of rappers out here that do realistic stuff, and they rap about their real life, and I was also doing the same. But rap is entertainment, and it's not just art; it has to be entertaining. And rappers take dramatic license all the time. Plenty of rappers that have said, like, oh, I pulled the piece out and I shot him twice or whatever. They probably know a guy who did that. They probably know a dude that pulled out the piece and shot a dude twice, and they're rapping from his perspective. They're acting as that dude's voice. And I was doing the same. I rapped about addiction a lot and doing drugs and heroin and shit like that. that I never was addicted to heroin, but I knew plenty of people that were voiceless, and I wanted to talk about their experience because also I was thinking about their experience, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's basically where it all kind of came from, was just sort of a window into like, okay, if Sam Rothstein is the rap version of me, who I really am, Little Vegas is the rap version of, Lancaster and stuff like that. Yeah. So.
Well, I think it's one thing to kind of to bring a voice to those who don't have one, and then there's a completely different thing to just make up shit.
Yeah, to just say that you do all this shit that you don't really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's I think a pretty big problem in hip hop now, because so many younger artists, it's not the way they're rapping. People get hung up on the mumble rap thing and get hung up on the fact that it's trap beats and stuff like that, and I don't really care about that. But it's the content of so many of these young rappers that concerns me, because they are rapping about Lambos and all this other stuff, and it's like they've never seen one in real life. Yeah. Like they've literally never seen one in real life. And it's one thing, I used to write raps about living in a fucking mansion and all that other shit, and it's sort of like a manifestation type thing, but now it's just so much of the content, it's just like, yo, you just heard a rapper say that, and now you're just saying what they said. I think people sort of gravitated towards me in the beginning. I know a lot of small town people really did, because they're like, hey, I know what you're talking about. Like, I can actually relate to that. And I would say it, and I'd say it honestly and stuff like that, and people hadn't heard it put in a way like that yet, or they hadn't heard it put in a way like that from someone that rapped like me or whatever. So I would just tell any younger rapper that's out here doing this, just like, yo, rap what you know.
Yeah. You
can do it over trap beats. You can make it as lit as fuck. You can make it however you want. But if it's not honest, people can tell, man. People can feel it if you don't believe it. And a lot of these dudes just don't. When they rap, they don't believe themselves. So.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of, like, what you said earlier. It's just, like, people trying to show skills. Like, look, I'm able to put this word and make it rhyme with this word. Like, They don't really care so much about, like, the actual lyrical content and the message of the song. They're just kind of like, hey, this is the shit that I saw on fucking MTV. Let me write a song and try to see how many...
Well, yeah, and to some degree, like, my first project, I was trying to be Action Bronson and failing. And, like... But that's how I found out who Sam Rothstein was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody starts out just trying to be the shit they listen to. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a natural part of the process. Because you don't know where else to go. Right. When you're just starting, you're like, okay, well, I guess I'll try to be like the stuff I heard. But, from there you have to go and figure out, okay, who am I really? What is true and honest to me? Because there have been plenty of songs. I admire the people that make songs and don't release them. Because I'll write songs and then not make them. Yeah. But I don't make songs and then not release them.
Yeah.
If I've recorded it and shit like that, like, I'm ready to release it for the most part.
Like, you put the work in, you want to get...
No, it's not even about work. It's just about, like, I took it... Because I hate recording. It's my least favorite part of the entire process of this career. I fucking hate recording. Yeah. And I like my voice, too. I don't really have a big problem with my voice for the most part. But it's just the notion of... that take is written in ink. That's the final one. That's the one that people are going to hear potentially after you're dead.
Yeah.
And, I always wonder about that. And I also got way more self-conscious and wondered about it much more after my friend Ness died. Because...
Ness Words?
Yeah. Because when he, he was one of the closest things I had to a musical mentor. And he didn't even know it. He didn't know he was my mentor. But... I just loved the way he sounded on records, and he would just crank out recordings and shit like that, and he was just a monster on stage and a monster on records. And after he died, I listened to his music a lot, and it meant so much, and I was so grateful because that was the only thing I had left of him, and was his music. And I was so grateful that I had the music, that I could listen to it and hear. And then I started thinking more about, like, okay, someone's going to do this with me too. So what the fuck am I doing? Like, why am I releasing anything that's not something I 100% stand behind? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and even to this day, I still haven't lived up 100% to that. There's stuff I released that I'm like 85% on, or, whatever. But you never know. your 85% could be someone else's 100%, you know? People could hear it and just be like, oh, it's fucking amazing. I love that one. Because there's so many random songs of mine people tell me that they like, and I'm just like, really? Like, that's the one you like? But I don't know. It's a tricky thing, man. And it's harder for me to make music now with sort of fan stuff in mind, you know? Like, my views and plays and all that shit, I haven't had, like, a steady incline in listeners, and I'm not like the most poppin' rapper out here and stuff like that. And I also took 2 years fucking trying to put other rappers on and do shows and stuff, but I'm very happy and comfortable at the place I am now with how I release music, because like the people that hear my music, I'm gonna see them and they talk to me and they tell me like, hey, I really like this one song. And like, just with Lights Out in the Palace, the amount of people that have just told me that they heard it, and it's not a ton of people, it's not fucking thousands or anything like that, but it's like, yo, I made music and people heard it and liked it and reacted to it, and they told me in person. Like, there's not much more you can ask for that. Not to mention the people that have bought it. Thank you to every single one of you that have done that. You can find it on Bandcamp right now, $7.
I did that shit.
But yeah, man, that's what I'm saying. Like, that, you have no idea how thankful I am for that, man. Like, it really does mean a lot to me. But I'm not out here trying to be the next Drake. Now I'm at a point to where it's like, I know how to do other stuff in music that I don't have to rely. I mean, I talk about that in Sirens. I say, you know, my money's linked to more than just the strength of my flows now. And I don't have to just rely on my rapping to try and have a career in music.
Yeah.
So now that I have that extra cushion and that kind of comfort, I'm like, fuck it, man. I'm just going to release exactly what I want to. I'm done caring about what people may think about it and these hypothetical critics or whatever. I just want to put music out again, man, and just, you know, get creative with it again. So
I ain't felt at home in a minute and we ain't even a thing, but you still cry. I just feel alone in the crib, antsy. You treat me like a king, but you don't ride. And
I'm hoping to put something out this summer, so you've inspired me in this moment to actually pursue that.
Good, man.
I'm a video guy. I listen to music, but I've never really.
This motherfucker right here made a video about the latest Apple shit, and it's really good, and you should listen to it and watch it, because I watch a lot of commentary channels.
So you do like mainly YouTube stuff though?
Yeah.
Well, you have a way better chance of making money than fucking we do. Jesus, dude. YouTube's blowing up right now.
Yeah.
Unless you do anything political, in which they'll just demonetize your videos
immediately.
And fucking whatever.
Mine's just kind of like, look at this computer I built, and then I have like the short films that I do.
Yeah.
But then I have like two separate stuff where I have like some commentary stuff, and then I have like the actual narratives that I do.
Oh, okay.
So.
I used to do video game commentaries on YouTube and stuff like that. Yeah, I would do
cool.
a lot of... I love doing that stuff, man. And like, film is ultimately where I want to end up. I want to end up making movies and stuff like that, because I write screenplays and stuff like that, but I'm still in my vulnerable just making the art stage with that. You know what I mean?
I gotcha.
But I just feel like all the music stuff that I've done and all the stuff with shows and live entertainment is not a stepping stone, but a training course to get me to actual film directing. Because I just feel like you don't direct films unless you're really good with music, you're really good with dialogue, you're really good with actors, you're really good with editing, you're really good with all of the things that go into it, you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
And Blueprint did an episode back in 2017 on Super Duty Tough Work. Shout out to you guys, you're pretty cool. More than pretty cool, you guys are fucking awesome. But I listen to you guys while drawing axe throwing boards, so that should flare your egos a little bit. But back in 2017, Blueprint was making King No Crown, which I still have yet to watch because I'm an asshole. I need to watch that.
It was a good movie. I watched it.
Was it really?
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah, it was. That was very inspiring to me. Blueprint's probably the most successful independent artist to come out of Columbus, I would say. Maybe not. I don't know if there's probably a couple other bands that have had some similar success or whatever. In terms of hip hop artists, though, I definitely think Blueprint's probably the most successful to come out.
Yeah, I agree.
And just the longevity of his career has been crazy. And that's what's so cool about seeing him and Illogic on that podcast, is they both have such a good perspective on it. Big shout out to Illogic too. He was actually at the release show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was. He randomly, so like, He doesn't come to Pipelines. He doesn't come to any of the other shows we have. But if I have a release show, he will show up and take pictures of me.
That's cool.
And he just wants to hear my new music. Like, he's just a fan of my music. But, like, we don't interact that much outside of that.
Yeah.
But, it means the fucking world to me. Because I listened to Illogic in high school before I even knew he was from Columbus.
All right.
And then, like, it was at a cypher for the first 2x2 Fest that I was on. And, I was just like, and he showed up, and I was just like, oh, holy fuck, that's a lot. Like, what the fuck? I was so nervous about it, man. But like, that's also when I realized that it's just like, yeah, man, you can just be a middle class dude and have a rap career, and people can know you, and you can perform in Japan, and you can do other stuff. But it's like, you can still just be a regular dude, and that it was meeting artists like that really kind of put the ideas of being the next Drake and all that shit out of my mind. Of like, yo, it's actually kind of cooler to
be small time, kind of,
well,
comparatively.
Just to really just have the freedom.
Well, yeah.
To just have the freedom to do what you want, but that's how you're paying your bills. It is really your art. And yeah, you don't have a mansion, but it's like, I don't know that I ever grew up dreaming about living in a mansion. Hip hop tells you that that's something you should want, or, you know, just general American success tropes tell you that's what you should want. But it's like, I don't want a fucking big ass mansion. I don't like vacuuming my fucking small place. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't need all of these things that success tells you that you need. What you need is peace of mind. What you need is, you know, a sense of purpose, a sense of accomplishment and stuff like that. But yeah, if you got, because again, Lights Out in the Palace, that's what it's about too. I got to a point in my own personal career where I didn't need a job anymore, and I could pay the bills off of that. But then I looked at the cost of that, at what it took to actually do that, and my music suffered, my personal relationships suffered, my, you know, like, it's a hard thing to do, and that this life will take shit from you, man. And so yeah, I don't know. Also, just shut me up and ask more questions too.
Okay.
Like, I'll just keep like fucking going.
That's good.
This will be a quick one, I think, and then after that, I have a really tough one. So get your brain prepared. I didn't write it down this time. You know what question I'm going to ask, don't you?
Probably.
The usual one.
Oh yeah.
So first one, pretty quick. What are the best Columbus venues to see shows at?
Best Columbus venues. It just really depends on what you're there for.
Yeah.
Because we throw shows at Hamptons on King, which is one of objectively the worst venues in Columbus. But we throw the best shows there, and they can't be the best shows at other venues.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you need a disgusting, moldy basement. Like, sometimes that's what the show calls for. And when we do Space Camp, that's kind of what we wanted. Even though we're going to be at Scully's for the next Space Camp, which is a big level up for us. But, yeah, I just feel like, you know, I've always loved Victories. I think Victories is a good middle of the road. You'll see a good show if you're in Victories. Bands can play there. They like it. They got good sound. They got cheap drinks. Ruby Tuesdays Live on Summit Street, also not a bad one. If you want a more glitzy, clubby vibe, fucking Trism, I guess.
I know a lot of people like to go to the Donato's Basement over on campus.
Yeah, that's where we throw the Ass Out Comedy Night. That's where we throw our comedy show. And Donato's Basement is actually really, really good. What?
Yeah. Sorry we couldn't make it out to that.
No, it's okay.
I had a bad fever that day.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to go.
Well, when people tell me they can't make something because they're sick, I'm like, fucking thank you. Because I can't afford to get sick.
Fair enough.
I don't ever want sick people at my shows. But, yeah, no, Donato's Basement's really good, though. They did a lot of work to that. Columbus is just lucky, man. Columbus has a ton of venues. I mean, we got random places like Tree Bar, which is just a fucking tiny little room with a tree that grows up in the floor. And like, you know what I mean? I
used to own that place, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's in Grandview. It's not far, but
that's cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of good places, but as far as the best or the worst, I'm not really gonna say because I also have to deal with these venues. So.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I thought about that as I was asking the question. So.
No, it's fine.
So here's the hard one. So you're going to have to really, it's okay if you need a second. Because Kenneth had no idea what to say for this.
Okay.
And I asked this of every creative, I've started asking this of every creative that we've had on the podcast.
Yeah. Which is about every guest that we have on the podcast.
Pretty much every guest, yes. So what makes you unique in what you do in general?
What I do.
In being a rapper and being throwing shows and being a promoter, you know.
What makes me unique as a rapper is I took the things that could have been things that worked against me, and I was just upfront about them. Like, my strength as a rapper was the fact that, you know, I drove a Buick for most of the time I had a car, just like this big-ass grandma Buick. And I flipped that, and that's not very cool. Like, it's not a cool car to whip around in. But I embraced it. And I made the Buick a thing. I made it a thing of my identity. And I also think I'm good with iconography, and I'm good at making things mimetic. And the same way that, like, Star Wars is more popular than Star Trek, because you know what a lightsaber sounds like.
Yeah.
And you know what a lightsaber is, even if you don't really watch Star Wars. It's just in the culture now.
Yeah.
And so I took things like Little Vegas or my Buick or Sam Rothstein or whatever, and I tried to make things have their own iconography kind of within my world and stuff like that. And in terms of throwing shows, I mean, I could fucking go all day on that. But we're unique because our shows have an identity.
Yeah.
Everything I've ever tried to do, I've tried to give it a little more personality, as opposed to so many artists do just want to fit in. And that can even come from a creative place too. Because I think about an album like Continuum by John Mayer. And that album is so perfect and so good that it's almost bland. Things can be so perfect that they're not even interesting anymore. It's like how Ed Sheeran is.
Yeah.
You're not going to find one note that's wrong in an Ed Sheeran song. But it's fucking boring.
Yeah.
Because nothing's wrong with it. The same way punk music, everything's wrong with it. And it's interesting because of that somehow. And so it's like I've always tried to embrace my flaws and be honest about them and not shame them and run from them, but embrace them as part of the bigger picture of the good and the bad. So that's kind of, I guess, what kind of makes me unique.
That is a good ass answer. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, the first thing, no disrespect, Kenneth, because your answer, you ended up coming with a.
He also takes pictures. That's so hard to describe. Like, he takes fucking pictures.
And I'm a dick for asking of him. I totally acknowledge that. But like, I asked him that, and he was like, I don't know. Is that good enough for you? Like, he literally said
I
that.
am me, and I'm the only me that will be me.
Yeah, he said, like, I'm Kenneth Jackson, and no one else is Kenneth Jackson.
Nobody takes better crowd shots than Kenneth.
Oh,
Kenneth knows how to take a picture of a crowd really well. Mm. He understands that you need to get the crowd and the performer in the fucking shot.
Yeah.
Kenneth does a lot of stuff that he's definitely... I can't say he's my favorite photographer because there's a dead tie between him and Dreamcatchers, because they've both provided me with such fucking good work, and Annie as well. Annie's definitely, I think, the most artistic of the three, but in terms of if you want baseline documentation and good, solid, fucking cool looking pictures from your event, Kenneth is the dude to go with for sure. Mm-hmm. So
I built a business living different. My best friend an apparition. My ex wishing I was dead and missing, but I still manifest a vision. I just jug until my problem's gone. Molly make me feel like Molotov.
Interested in supporting the show? Consider checking out our merch store at redbubble.com/people/gab-street. Also consider donating to the Ko-fi page. It'll help us out a lot. Now back to the show.
Dope. Okay, we have like maybe 3 more things to go through.
Okay.
And they're all relatively
let's
quick.
go through them.
So we won't make your editing time super long.
We're already at the longest episode we've ever done, so.
Dope. Yes. Awesome. Not for you sometimes, but that's awesome. Okay. So I'm just going to list a bunch of shit that I see you representing a lot.
Okay.
So Cloud City, first of all, you're on that. 614 Pipeline, Peer Pressure, Space Camp HQ. I see you being involved with trap metal shows. Do you throw those, or do you?
So I've thrown one trap metal show.
Just one.
And
okay.
yeah, and I am trying to throw more. It's hard because trap metal is not really in Columbus like that yet. Columbus is very late to the party in that. The biggest drawback with Columbus is we have so many creatives, so much sort of self-sustaining, like a healthy art scene in general, that we have blinders on and we don't look at what's going on in the rest of the world. So we think the shit is just the coolest shit ever here in Columbus, and we love it. We'll keep showing up for it. But they don't do that shit in other cities. Yeah. So Columbus artists oftentimes can't succeed in other cities because they can only succeed in the place that incubated them. Yeah. So with trap metal, I'm trying to develop the audience a little bit more. I just met a very dope trap metal artist, though, from Kent called Freely Spoken. Big shout out to him. He was amazing. So yeah, and I've been finding more. There's a guy from Columbus named Ego Death There's a couple more. Trap metal's starting to pop up in Columbus. I'm not interested in doing trap metal stuff unless it's actually integrated with metal bands too, though.
Okay.
So that's where things get really, really tricky, because metal bands are just fucking hard to deal with. They just are. And not because like they're prima donnas, but like physically they're hard to deal with, because when a band is playing, you have to put their equipment somewhere.
Yeah.
And most venues don't have a backstage area to load in stuff, so it's like that's taking up room that people could be standing at and stuff like that. So
yeah, it's one thing if it's a soundboard and a microphone and a laptop. It's another thing if it's like a drum set.
Yeah, a drum set, amps, and all this other shit. And because I helped throw a rock show called Locals Ruin Everything. It's more like a pop punk kind of emo type show. And a third of the fucking venue is just drum sets when we do that. You know what I mean? Because there's nowhere else to put it. But luckily, a lot of bands are used to it and shit like that. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Shout out a few bands that have popped up over the last few years. First of all, Mistar Anderson. It's pretty dope. Fortune Orange. We had.
Yeah, they're gonna be on Cloud City.
Yeah, we saw that.
That's good.
Yeah, man. Awesome. Fortune Orange is incredible. Shout out to Knowles, all those guys, man. Yeah. Shout out to Sam. They're fucking incredible, dude. And those dudes are musicians through and through, dude. Yeah. I was at their house one night randomly after a fucking show that me and Raiden came back from, and they were like, they had a bunch of the silent disco headphones for some reason, so we just threw a silent disco at his house and just like threw a house party and shit. Nice. And I remember talking to them. And I brought up the Dire Straits or something, and like they both, the guitarist and the bassist, immediately just started talking about the Dire Straits guitarist and like just this like autistic encyclopedia like knowledge of them, and I was just like, okay, you guys are the real fucking deal. And then I booked them for the pipeline we did in January at Wild Goose Creative, and I really got to see them play, and I was just like, oh, you guys are fucking incredible. They're a whole other wave. So big shout out to Fortune Orange, man.
I have yet to see them live. So I'm really pumped to see that.
Incredible, man. A lot of chicks watching that band, man. So nice. Any band that can do that, any band that has attractive females in their fan base, they're gonna be fine. Because I'll tell you what, I'm sorry, man. It's a very crass thing to admit, but attractive females are the engine for all of entertainment. Like, none of this shit works without attractive females in there somewhere. Because attractive females don't go to places alone. So they bring friends. So instead of having one person show up to the show, you now have 5. But now there's a group of attractive females, which means dudes are going to be like, hey, there's a whole bunch of bitches here. So dudes want to go to the show. And then dudes want to buy those girls drinks, so the bar benefits. And then it's just, it all works out. And so I used to not believe it. I used to be like, no, it's about art. And blah, blah. Nope, it's about hot chicks. It's about getting hot chicks this show. That's what half this shit really is.
That's how Fire Festival got any traction.
I've never seen it broken down like that. That's kind of genius.
Yeah, I mean, it is true, man. It kind of sucks to see, but you look at all the most popular music in the world and then tell me if hot chicks like it or not. And the answer will be yes, they do. Like, hot chicks love Beyonce. Hot chicks love Adele. Hot chicks love Ed Sheeran. All that stuff. So, yeah.
All right.
Anyway, next subject.
2 more bands. I think 2 more. Booty and the Kid is another one.
Yeah.
They're really dope.
They are.
And
I have
Emperor Chaz.
Emperor Chaz is also very dope. Big shout out to all those guys, man.
Yeah, those are the 4 bands I can think of that are like popping right now that I'm a huge fan of.
Yeah.
And they're like Columbus, and they're about Columbus, and they rap about Columbus. And it's great.
Yeah.
So it's super awesome. Yeah, love those guys.
Bands are great.
Were you about to say something? Or?
No, I was saying I have a Booty and the Kid sticker on the side of my computer.
Cool. I have one on the side of my trombone case. I don't think I've ever mentioned that I actually play trombone on this podcast.
That's sweet.
There you go. I know how to play that. But
this man plays the giant slide whistle.
Yes, or as my friend Olivia called it, the slidey fart horn. So, Emperor Chaz, we DM'd a little while back about you needing a horn player. I'm right here, so hit me up. But
I love bands with horn sections, dude.
This man kicks ass in the brass.
Yeah.
Kicks ass in the brass. If you got a horn, if you got any brass in your band, I'm immediately a bigger fan, mostly because I'm biased and I play brass, but like it's also just better in general, so that's cool. One last thing, unless you want to talk about Muzo Radio or Ass Out real quick.
Nah. Ass Out, the Ass Out Comedy Night happens June 28th. It's at Donato's Basement. $5. We got a great lineup. Stand-up comedy, live podcast. Come out. It's a fucking really great time.
All right, cool. We'll have to hit that up. That'll be fun.
Yeah, you definitely should.
Okay. Okay, quick question. Who does the promotional art for your Instagram? Is that you or
what do
who?
you mean?
Like
there's the
like
stuff
the,
on my
the
Instagram.
flyers.
Yeah, it's me. It's all me.
It's all you?
Yeah.
That shit is kick ass.
Thank you.
Seriously, I look at that.
I don't brag about it enough. I'm actually really good at graphic design.
Yeah.
But no, man, I've actually sold a lot of graphic design work this week. So if you guys ever need album artwork or covers or flyers or whatever, man, please hit me up. I'm very, very cheap. I'm very, very fast. I'm basically just like the McDonald's of graphic design. It really just came out of necessity, dude. Like,
yeah.
There was a time that so many people don't remember now, and it was only 5 years ago. But like, the art scene in Columbus was fucking nowhere near what it is now, and it was like a 10% of it. And there was just a lot of boo-boo flyers out there. There was just a lot of terrible flyers and stuff. But I was getting booked for shows, but I was like, like, I'm not sharing this, so I'd make my own flyer. And then once I started doing the pipeline, that's when I really needed to, I needed a graphic designer, but I was like, I'm just going to have to figure out a way to do this better, myself. So I just learned, but almost, for the most part now, we're about half and half with the show flyers. Like the Space Camp flyers, a lot of times we farm those out. I've done about half of those. The Ass Out Comedy Night flyers, I do all those.
Nice.
The Locals Ruin Everything, I don't do any of those.
Okay.
That's Sven, she does those.
Yeah, I noticed those are
big
different.
shout out to her. Yeah. Those are incredible. But all my album art though and song artwork, I've done all of that. So
sweet. Yeah, I'm impressed every single time.
Thank you, man. Yeah. I'm like obsessed with fonts. Like fonts are a huge thing with me.
Cool.
And it really comes from movie posters.
Yeah.
I used to collect DVDs, so I had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of DVDs, and I would just spend so much time looking at just how things are arranged and the font and stuff like that.
Did you see that SNL skit that they did a while back about how the Avatar
used papyrus? Thank you for bringing that up, because every time I tell people about that, they're just like, that's not funny, I don't get it. And I'm just like, yo, it's hilarious that $1 billion movie used fucking papyrus for their actual font. Like, yo, they could have paid like 19 Persian princes to draw their own font with the budget they had for that, but they're like, nah, we're just gonna do papyrus. And they just did it. And I'm like, wow, James Cameron.
Papyrus will make make it transparent. Boom.
Yeah.
Just a basic Windows font.
It was mind-blowing to me when I figured that out. Because, like, I saw it, but the worst part about it is that it fits.
Yeah.
Like, the worst part about it is it looks fine. You know what I mean? But they were probably just like, yeah, we just saved $350,000 right there. So, great, let's do it.
I've noticed, after seeing that, that there's a lot of other movies that have come out after that, and like some before that have done the same thing.
Yeah.
Like James Franco's The Disaster Artist, which shout out to Tommy Wiseau. I can't remember the name of the font, but that's stripped straight from like a Windows.
Yeah, absolutely. dafont.com. Like that's where I get half of like the ones I do. And
cooltext.com is a good one.
Yeah.
We use Impact. We just use basic fucking Impact.
Yeah, we just use Impact font for.
And Impact, nice. Yeah, and it's like I wonder what the actual font for street signs is.
It's probably not. It's probably not Impact.
It's not.
When I designed the logo,
but Impact works well. Impact is great. If you just all caps that bitch, Impact looks fucking great every time.
Yo, if you saw an actual street sign that said Gap Street and it looked like that, your eyes would pop out of your head because you're like, that's not what that shit looks like.
Yeah.
But I like our design. It's very nice.
I made that.
It's a very good one. Okay. 2 more questions.
Okay.
Yes.
And they're very quick.
Okay.
How can people find you online?
You can follow me on Instagram at Sam Rothstein Official. I would recommend that the most. My Facebook friends are running out. I don't have very many left. You can find me on Facebook at Sam Rothstein, or just Sam Rothstein, ROTHSTEIN. I'm on Twitter. Don't even remember what my Twitter handle is. Don't give a shit either. I fucking hate Twitter. I'm not on Snapchat. I don't like Snapchat either. I know I need to change these things, but when I get a manager, I will. But yeah, no, the main way is just Instagram, man. Just find me on Instagram. Find me on Facebook. My phone number is somewhere around there in those two, so if you want to text me, you can, even though I got to stop giving my number out to people. because too many people just text me now and just random shit. I've gotten 2 different show offers in the time we've done this podcast. And I don't know who these people are, but they have my number somehow. And so yeah, for the most part though, Instagram and Facebook. Also, you could find me on SoundCloud and Spotify. If you just type in Sam Rothstein to either one of those, I'll pop up. So
we had a friend of ours who had his phone number. Somebody wrote his phone number all around the school, so he was just getting calls and texts from random people.
That's so
Eventually,
shitty.
he had to get his phone number changed.
Shitty.
But like even to this day, if you go to the back entrance, right where it says like there's a plaque there that says like the entrance, his phone number is still still drawn on there.
So it was everywhere, dude.
Yeah.
All over the bathrooms, all over the walls in the cafeteria. Everywhere. It was so funny. He's still
sure not funny for him. For the
it was
guy
not funny at all for him. God, just comedic value for everyone
guy.
else. It was great. Very last thing. You got any shout outs you want to give?
I don't have a bunch of shout outs, but I have a bunch of plugs that I need to get off. Okay, June 21st, that's Friday, 2 days from when you're seeing this. That's the Cloud City pre-event that is free. Come to that. Experience Cloud City. We are selling discounted tickets in a big fucking way there.
Where's that again?
It's at Chrome Edge Studios. It's in Franklin, East Franklinton, or West Franklinton. June 22nd, Space Camp 10. That is at Scully's. We're going to have Corrupt on there. We've got Phantom. We've got Young Hollywood, Summit, a whole bunch of people. It's going to be fucking amazing. Tickets are online right now. They are cheaper if you buy them online. So go look at Eventbrite and get those tickets there. Or it's $15 at the door. But definitely come out to that if you want to fucking headbang and go crazy for a little while. And then June 28th, we have the Ass Out Comedy Night. That's at Donato's Basement. It's $5. All ages come through to that. And then June 29th, we have the next Locals Ruin Everything. I can't remember for the life of me the lineup for that, but I will get it out soon. And then also June 26th, we are starting a bi-weekly event. So have you guys heard of the Declassified event I used to do?
Yeah. I've been to 2 of them.
So I'm trying to make that into a bi-weekly event.
Yes.
So it's going to be at Victories. It's going to be every other Wednesday starting June 26th.
Dude,
me and Zealous are going to be doing that. Zealous is going to be on the 1s and 2s. We're going to try to make it a little more informal of an open mic to get more and more artists through there if we can and stuff. But that's been kind of a passion project of mine, trying to get that deal worked out to where it makes sense for everybody. But yeah, I'm really trying to create a better open mic type space for hip hop artists in Columbus and stuff. So that's what Declassified's kind of turning into and whatnot.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man.
I love that.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you for having me out.
You too.
Of course. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, it was a great episode. I love this one. You have an hour and a half to edit now. Yeah, let's go.
Hey, you don't have to edit anything. Just throw it up there. Fuck it.
You gotta do transitions and stuff and add the ad read.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's whatever. I can do it if you want.
I got
all
it.
good.
It's
Okay,
fine.
cool.
I got a week to do it, so.
All right, try and come up with your witty end of episode quote now. I'm gonna click it.
Anything.
Yeah. We'll see you guys next week.
Later.
Stop button.
Eat ass and smoke grass.